Howdy, my dudes. Random Fight Fan here. Got some really interesting tech that is going to almost certainly be best in slot come the absolute endgame, and that is Trinity support, which may not be too much of a surprise to most of you because, hey, this damage is nuts. It's more elemental damage per attack with 50 resonance of any type. Yeah, that means since our lightning spear is doing almost entirely lightning damage or just elemental damage, the spear itself does a little bit of physical. The storm lance does a bunch of physical at the very start. The large spear, which is what does all your damage plus the detonation, is all elemental as well. Your infused weapon is all elemental. This is a monstrous damage increase, absolutely monstrous. And so how it works is when you do damage with a certain type, the highest amount of damage scales it between fire, lightning, and cold. So if I find a simple mob right here, there we go, I got a whole bunch of lightning resonance. If I find another mob, it scales up even higher, and it's with a higher level of Trinity, the faster it charges up. It's actually quite easy to stack it up at the higher levels. Right now, I'm only getting 7% more elemental damage. At level 20, it's 10% more elemental damage. But at level 22, it gets to be 11% more elemental damage per 50. And what it says right here is the resonance stacks up to 100, which is very, very nice, like extremely nice. So there are ways to super buff this, and it's incredibly easy, and I couldn't believe that it actually worked that well because holy crap, it's amazing. You go here and you take your mastery support gems, your lightning mastery, your fire mastery, your cold mastery, because this is lightning, fire, and cold, and oh look, it brings it up a level. So if you have a level 19 or 20 Trinity support, you can get it to do the extra 11% more elemental damage per attack, and then it also makes it so you gain more resonance per hit. Right now I'm getting 8 resonance per highest damage, and it will be up to 11 as well, which makes it stack incredibly fast. Now, all this by itself is not that big of a deal, but obviously if you could get 100 of all of them, that'd be, I think, 78% more damage, a ridiculously high number. However, it does not actually. Oh, I forgot to say, you also can quality it up for 2% more elemental damage as well. So when you're at 11, it's 13% more per 50, which is nuts. But the downside is it can't actually get 100 in all of them because it's always going to lose 2 of the other types. So you can get 100 of one, then like 98, 96 of the others. And the way I tried to do that is with these Painter Servant's Gloves. Now, as you can see, I have the gain as extra matched all the way through, and that's because I've done a few tests where when I used these ones with elemental damage as extra fire, cold, and lightning that didn't match, they didn't quite uh, give you the best resonance. Like I easily maxed out fire, and then the extra cold came in a little bit, but I never got any lightning resonance, and it was kind of unfortunate. Whereas this one, I was kind of semi-consistently getting the resonance up. But there's another little bit that makes it difficult, and that's if you have any source of added damage as, like from Innervate or from Volt, it does not work well because that added damage as extra lightning will mean that it always does the most lightning damage per. Now with something like Stormlance, because we're just doing more damage, more damage, more damage, and nothing that does added lightning damage, and things like Innervate and Ice Bite would never apply in the maps, or sorry, against the bosses, and Stormlance being the bossing skill, and you know, if you want to use Primal Strike or something like that, it's same thing. It would still have even damage throughout, and as you can see, it stacks up pretty damn fast and consistently, and with higher bossing, or like doing the pinnacle bosses, it would give you an insane amount of damage. The other thing to note is with Lightning Spear and Stormlance, because they have so many extra hits about them, each of those extra hits count as an individual charge for Trinity and even for something like Ambrosia. So that's why one cast will use up everything you have for Ambrosia Flask, and that's why it completely fills up the Trinity almost instantly. It's nice that it charges it so fast, but it's also bad that it kills the resonance for other things if you were to use a different ability like Glacial Lance or in my situation, I have flat cold on rings, so Spear Field charges up the cold damage kind of quick. But after one cast, it gets rid of it entirely. But there's a problem with these painted gloves. Like, yes, it's a great tech. It is great tech, and I think it will be the way to go when we get better gear, like the far end game stuff. I think this will be best in slot. I think this will be the new Hoa. But right now, early game, it's not worth it. The reason why it's not worth it is because, yes, we get that whole big extra damage from Trinity, the more damage from Trinity, and it's phenomenal. But like I said, it doesn't work with Stormlance, and because it doesn't work with Stormlance, I mean, you get just the lightning damage from it, so it's like up to 26% more damage pretty easily, and all the time. It's nice, but with the way that they change freeze threshold, you're not ever getting any freezes with the convert. And then you're still going to need Herald of Thunder, which is a big spirit cost sink, which I was wanting to do this to get the freezes off with Lightning Spear to drop the spirit cost. That would have been the way to go about it. And then it also made like shocks and the like a little bit more inconsistent. So this is something that would be fantastic if you had the gear for it. But like I got a good spear, but bad everything else, essentially. Like really bad everything else. So if you did have much better gear than me, if you had endgame gear, if you had stuff that ignored elemental resistances, for example, it would be massively better, and I would highly, highly recommend going this path. And if I can get my stuff upgraded, I will be trying it. Just for right now, this here is a big drawback. And if you can get around that drawback, Painter's Gloves, the Painter's Servant Torn Gloves with Trinity will give you so much ridiculous amounts of damage that it will be worth it. There is another thing though, if you are at the farthest of end games and you have something like Sacred Flame with that massive more damage as fire, it will mean that you're only ever doing fire damage. It doesn't, again, it doesn't convert the extra damage as, so you have to be careful with stuff like that. This is very much so worth doing, but it is hard to work around. I just wanted to give the tips of like using these Lightning Mastery in Trinity. Holy crap, it's good. It's a lot of damage, and if you can get this to work properly, like maybe with more freeze build up or ignoring elemental resistances, this will be something that can carry you through to like +4 endgame bosses. I'm almost guaranteed this will be incredible. Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Unfortunately, I just don't have the gear requirements to pull it off fully yet, but it is something fantastic. That's all. Thanks again for stopping by. See you later, my dudes. If you liked it, like and sub, and if you didn't, don't. Bye-bye.